everyone. Welcome to your history class. This is the second part of your lesson Rise and Spread of Islam. In our previous video, we learnt about what is Islam, who founded it, life of Prophet Muhammad and his teaching. Today we will learn 5 duties of a Muslim, spread of Islam, Umayyad dynasty and Abbasid dynasty. 5 duties of a Muslim. According to Islam's holy book Quran, every Muslim have to follow these 5 duties in his life. These 5 duties are also known as the pillars or foundation of Islam. These duties was incubated on every Muslim since birth. The 5 duties of Islam consist of: number 1, faith in one God, Allah, known as Imam in Arabic, which means all Muslims must recite the conviction written in Quran, which states their belief in one God, Allah, and Prophet Muhammad as their interpreter or messenger of the God. The declaration of faith toward God is known as Shahada. All faithful Muslims and believers are expected to say Shahada. Second point, daily prayers known as Salat. Muslims are expected to pray 5 times in a day. This does not mean that they need to attend a mosque to pray. Rather, the salah should be recited 5 times in a day. Muslims can pray anywhere, however, they are meant to pray to face toward Makkah, the Kaaba. Prayer should be performed at a clean place before sunrise, at noon, in the late afternoon, at the sunset, and after sunset. Bowing or leaning down several times while standing and kneeling and touching the ground with forehead as a symbol of their submission to God Allah. Third point, alms giving means charity giving, which is also known as zakat. The giving of alms or charity is the third pillar of Islam. Muslims believe that they are meant to share their part of the income and wealth with those who are less fortunate in their community of believers. By doing so, the person gets purified with his soul, and after death he would be sent to heaven. Number 4th point, fasting during Ramadan, which is also known as Swam. During the month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, Muslims are expected to fast from dawn to dusk. The persons must not eat and drink anything during the daylight. However, there are exceptions made for the sick, elderly, pregnant, or if they are in a journey. 5th and the last point, pilgrimage to Makkah, doing Hajj. All Muslims who are able are required to make the pilgrimage to Makkah and the surrounding holy sites at least once in their life. Pilgrimage focuses on visiting the Kaaba and walking around it 7 times. When the religious ceremonies in Makkah are completed, the pilgrims also visit to Medina as Prophet Muhammad buried here in 632 AD, and yet it is also an important or another holy place for Muslims. Spread of Islam. The history of the spread of Islam span about 1400 years ago. During the travel from Mecca to Medina and returning to Mecca again was the significant period of Prophet Muhammad's life, because during his journey He became the political and the religious leader of the whole Arabia and ruled over Arabian Peninsula. But after his death, the new religion was at a crossroad and were faced with their first leadership crisis. Muslim conquered large part of Arabia, which led to the creation of the caliphates. Caliphs was known to be the successor of Prophet Muhammad. They now became the religious and political head of the Muslim community. The first four caliphs were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. All of them were the companions of Prophet Muhammad and were there with him all the time. As there was no clear instruction as to who should lead the community after the Muhammad's death, the community immediately chose the Prophet's close companion and father-in-law Abu Bakr as his successor. Abu Bakr, also known as the first caliph, followed by Umar, yet another father-in-law of Muhammad. By the time Abu Bakr, the Muslim state controlled all of Arabia. Under the next caliphs, they took Syria and Egypt. Abu Bakr and Umar spread Islam beyond Arabia to Syria, Iran, Iraq, Palestine, Turkey, Spain, and northern Africa. After that, Uthman and Ali became the successor and went in the succession dispute. Later on, Ali and his son was murdered. After the Ali's death, there was unrest among the Muslim community and is divided into two sets or two different community known as Shia and Sunni. The Shias regarded Ali as the Prophet's true successor. On the contrary, Sunnis believe that the Caliph should be chosen by the whole community. If you can see in the map, the Muslim armies under the different leadership of caliphs conquered many territories in West Asia like Syria, Palestine, Persia, and Egypt, and reached the western part of Europe across the Mediterranean Sea. They also defeated the Goths, the barbarian tribe, remember in your first chapter, and occupied the most of Spain. They wanted to conquer the whole France, but in the Battle of Tours, which was the first Muslim civil war in about 732 AD, Muslim army was driven back to Spain and Europe was saved from Muslims. Only one nation of the Europe, that is Spain, remained under their control until in 1492 AD. At the end of the 7th century, the Muslim empire spread to many countries covering West Asia, North Africa, and Spain. Muslims saw their victories as a sign of Allah's approval. Muslims' victory were mostly due to the weakness of the empires that they fought. In these captured territories, they now began to spread Islam. The caliphs all over ruled from 632 AD to 661 AD. Umayyad dynasty. After the caliph's rule, Umayyad dynasty or the dynasty of Umar, one of the companions of the Muhammad, ruled from 661 AD to 750 AD. They moved their capital of Islam from Medina to Damascus in Syria. The Umayyad ruler expanded the Islamic empire into one of the largest empires in the history of the world. At its peak, the Umayyad controlled the Middle East, part of the Sindh, that is India, much of North Africa and Spain. They divided the empire into provinces that were each ruled by a governor. As the empire expanded, unrest among the people and opposition also increased. Many thought that Umayyads were not following the way of the Islam preached by the Prophet Muhammad, which led to the group of people, including the followers of Ali, called Sufis, began to rebel against the Umayyad dynasty. In 750 AD, the Abbasid, the rivals of Umayyads, came in power and overthrew the Umayyad caliphates. Abbasid dynasty. Abbasid belonged to the Shia sect as they were the descendant from the Prophet Muhammad's uncle. They established their capital at Baghdad, modern-day Iraq. Harun al-Rashid was the famous ruler of this dynasty. During his rule, art, culture, science, and as well as literature also flourished. Many books of many travelers were translated into Arabic languages. By the 10th century, the Abbasid Caliphate was on decline as many other rulers from different parts of the world came to their territories. Governors of different Turkish tribesmen set up their independent state and become ruler and assume the title of Sultan or Amir, which led to the rise of the Sultanate dynasty in future. In 1258 AD, when Turks from the Central Asia captured Baghdad and ended the rule of Abbasid, a new empire established, that was Ottoman Empire. They also conquered part of Rome, Constantine, and made the capital by the name Istanbul. From 1100 AD to 1300 AD, Christians and Turkish Muslims went in a holy war known as Crusades. Christians failed in their objective to free Palestine from Muslim rule. Christians and Jews were not allowed at that time to spread their religions, but they were allowed to be officials, scholars, and bureaucrats to work under the codes of the Islamic ruler. This crusades result in establishment of a trade relation with the Muslims also. Many sea routes were discovered and Arab monopoly of sea trade came to an end in 1492 AD. In the following period, Europeans also gained monopoly over the sea trade as they found new sea routes due to their several expeditions to the other European countries. Thank you and hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe. We will meet again in our next video.